Hello and welcome back to Mass Effect 2. Exploring space. Let's explore more space this time around. Perhaps do a mission or two. Or rather an assignment, because we're all out of missions. Not that many of them remain, actually, so we're getting quite close to the end of the game. So, let's go back to the Normandy. Frozen targets. I don't really use freezing that often. But, they don't really freeze well when they have shields on, and if they don't have shields on, then there's not much point in freezing them as opposed to just shooting them. Oh well. So, we are here. Right. We're done with everything in the Caleston Rift. Let's go back to the mass relay. But also go through the planets in this system. Do I need more fuel? Probably not yet. Cernunnos. Cernunnos is a sizable gas giant with a hydrogen-nitrogen atmosphere. It is believed to be an extrasolar capture due to its close stellar location. In a rare phenomenon, it is near enough to its red dwarf star to be within the life zone, though its massive size prevents the tidal lock that usually occurs at such a range. While nothing could survive on the surface of a planet with such crushing gravity, Cernunnos' moon Caleston is habitable. Cernunnos is skimmed for its abundant hydrogen, and refineries on Caleston process it into a metastable metallic form for use as starship fuel. That is a very short orbital distance, indeed. More importantly, Caleston. The hostile moon Caleston is the largest satellite of the gas giant Cernunnos. An ancient asteroid strike deposited major loads of element zero within the molten sulfur mantle. Elfil Ashland Energy's mining operations have made it the largest source of Starship drive core material in the Attican Traverse. Caleston is racked with volcanism due to tidal stresses from Cernunnos. Because of weak solar output, plant-like life on Caleston is not carbon-based and photosynthetic, but silicon-based and thermosynthetic, requiring heat rather than sunlight to power its chemical reactions. These organisms flourish in volcanic vents and during solar flares, when Balor can double or triple in luminosity. Sadly, sapient habitation is not possible here, and Caleston's biodiversity is considered threatened by the Citadel Council Committee on Habitable Worlds. Population 1.8 billion. Colony founded in 1975 CE. Capital Sineu. Yeah, orbital distance is the same as... Yeah, it should be Cernunnos. So they made a typo here. Oh man. Orbital period. Radius. D-length. Okay, atmosphere. A bit warm. And a bit higher gravity. But the whole point, however, of Caleston is that this is in fact a planet that was supposed to appear in Mass Effect. It was originally intended that Caleston be one of the hub worlds in Mass Effect, but eventually Bioware redesigned the planet and it turned into Pharos. And Caleston was removed from the game. But you could see Caleston in its beta form in one of the E3 presentations of the first game. And I guess in this game they just added Caleston as a sort of reference to that. And you might also remember Caleston from the intro cinematic that I showed for the first game as well. So, it was indeed intended to be a volcanic planet, but then they changed that quite a bit. Because I think the replacement was Pharos. Could have been one of the other hub worlds, though. Brass. A member of the Fomor Belt, Brass is a dwarf planet with no atmosphere. It is, however, rich in lithium, which is integral to the heat sinks of starships or handheld weapons. A large robo-mining operation from Caleston can be found here. So this is just mine. Elatha. A tiny rock planet, Elatha is noted for its frigid temperatures and crushing nitrogen and krypton atmosphere. Lying out beyond the Fomor Belt, there is little to recommend it. Okay. And lastly, we have Partholon. A large planet composed of ice surrounding a rocky core, Partholon retains trace gases of nitrogen and carbon monoxide. Its crushing gravity makes for an inhospitable stay and makes most mining infeasible. However, its orbit's proximity to the mass relay in the system means space travelers will, for the next few years, use it for a gravitational slingshot to add speed on their way to and from Caleston. Now that's always a fun thing to do. Saves a lot of time to make use of gravity. It is quite cold. Close to absolute zero. Trace atmosphere. Right, so we're done exploring the Caleston Rift. Quite a fitting name. So, what is next? Not going to the Phoenix Massing yet. Pylos Nebula is almost done, but just barely not so. Let's see what's going on. Yes, it's only the mass relay system that's not explored. So let's do that. Isail is a standard hydrogen-helium gas giant. Though gas giants are known for their powerful magnetic fields, Isail's field is stronger than current models predict. Within the frost line of its solar system, where gas giants do not usually form, Isail is believed to have once been extrasolar. I can see magnetic fields that are quite powerful being useful, but also perhaps being a nuisance in a way. But the only other planet is Jonas, and it's already explored? Jonas, a methane ammonia ice giant, is being developed as a fuel depot serving the Pylos cluster. Elfhel Ashland Energy has established a base on one of its moons to crack water ice into hydrogen and oxygen, and skim helium-3 from its atmosphere. Jonas is also believed to be an extrasolar planet captured by a star. From orbit, Normandy sensors can pick out a hand-painted sign some waggish employee has left outside the complex. Last chance fuel for 100 light years. Well, there's the fuel depot, you know. Alright. So we're done exploring Pylos Nebula as well. The Omega Nebula is an interesting choice. Sigurd's Cradle. Yeah, let's go to the Omega Nebula. And I think the only place that is not explored is in fact here in the star system that Omega itself is in. So this is pretty easy as well. Burdock is a close-orbiting brown dwarf. Most red-brown dwarf binary systems have an average separation of 8 astronomical units. The Saurabaric system is about 12 billion years old, and it has long since used up the deuterium used to fuel fusion. So Burdock is not luminous like some brown dwarfs are. Huh. So it's not a gas giant, but rather a brown dwarf. Huh. It's a star. Burdock is a Class L brown dwarf with a relatively low temperature of 1300 degrees Celsius, but its heat and gravity have made it unpopular for development. There are rumors that the heads of several of Omega's crime syndicates maintain private residences on various moons. Whatever the truth of the matter, battles between syndicate vessels are often observed around the ring plane. News outlets on Omega maintain satellites at Burdock's Lagrange points for real-time coverage of these battles, which garner high viewer ratings. Well, that's Omega for you. And Omega itself is within an asteroid field. I guess that makes sense for it being an asteroid itself that has been terraformed in a way. A standard methane ammonia gas giant, Immorcon is the main source of helium-3 fuel for ships coming to or from Omega. Most of its fueling stations are run by criminal cartels, who engage in cutthroat, sometimes literally, pricing wars. Immorcon is also widely known for its layover stations, where pirates in a hurry can find fuel, ammunition, intoxicants, gambling, and sexual companionship at any hour. Yeah, that's Omega for you. And lastly, we have Bindoor. If it were closer to Saurabaric, Bindoor would have an atmosphere of carbon dioxide and ethane. In the deep cold of the outer solar system, however, both elements have long since frozen to the ground. Minus 224, yeah, quite cold. Alright, are we done with Omega Nebula? We are. So next is Sigurd's Cradle, and due to low exploration, perhaps there's going to be something in it. Or we might just have a lot of planets in the mass relay system. Well, that looks like a star, certainly. An unusually small Pegasid or hot Jupiter, Vollis has originally an extrasolar planet that entered the system and was captured by the gravity well of the G-class star Skepsis. Tidally locked, Vollis's hot side reaches temperatures over 2,500 degrees Celsius. While not large enough proportionate to the star to cause eclipses visible from Watson, it is easily seen at dawn or dusk as one of the brightest objects in the sky. So this one is not a star. Okay. It seems almost like one, though. So we have Watson and Franklin that we have already explored. Darwin. A mid-sized rock planet, Darwin is ironically named, being one of the worst places for life in the galaxy. Its atmosphere is punishing, its temperature boiling, its chemical makeup toxic. Carbon monoxide and methane wrap the planet in an unyielding haze, and scans of its surface show only silicates and molten tin. Its daily thermal fluctuations lead to hurricane-level vortices, two at each pole, forming eyes that can be seen from orbit. Despite all this, Darwin is still used by spacers as a drive core discharge point. Hydrogen pierces the clouds in the upper atmosphere, making for a relatively benign approach. So it's a rock planet, but it does have storms. So kind of a bit similar to Venus, but not entirely so. Quite close. Somewhat smallish. And very high pressure, indeed. Very warm. Okay, gravity. Yeah, all of these are named after scientists. Crick. Watson and Crick indeed. Known for its spectacular geysers that can be seen from orbit, Crick is a rock planet with expansive frozen oceans. Though it is within the temperature and pressure range for human habitation, its thick atmosphere is largely carbon dioxide and monoxide, making breath masks or environmental suits mandatory. The most abundant resources for exploitation are the potassium salts found in its seabeds, which fetch good prices on terraforming worlds. Potassium salts on seabeds. That sounds like one of the planets that we've visited in the first game. And quite cold. High pressure though. Frozen oceans. I wonder if that's water oceans. Because the temperature is not that low. Otherwise. Polling. A hydrogen-methane gas giant, Polling's gravitational field is believed to have cleared most of what would otherwise have been a sizable asteroid belt. The 2163 mission of the space probe Ultimate gave the inhabitants of Watson remains of data reinforcing this theory, giving the colonists an accurate count of its moons, 66, rings, moon-like ring objects, and more than 200 impact craters on the surface of its metallic core. Ultimate has been since retrieved for reuse on subsequent missions within the solar system. 2163, that's not that long ago, I guess. It's interesting that they would use space probes for that, considering that they have FTL. But okay. Makes it easier to retrieve probes, I suppose. And named for the 21st century pioneer of groundwater remediation techniques, Kayavich is an impressive layer of ice over a stony metallic core. Despite its size, it has only one moon, Noah, which shares its carbonaceous composition, leading astronomers to believe it formed following a giant impact. Iridium deposits have attracted miners to the planet, who must work through robots and telepresence because of the planet's strong gravity. Minus 190 degrees Celsius might also be a bit of a problem for mining. Trace atmosphere, and 3 times the gravity. Well, you can always ask Elcor for help, I guess. And rather large. And we're done with this, and seemingly with the whole star cluster. Yes. Okay, we still have something to do in the Hourglass Nebula, but I'm going to go there later. So let's go to the Valhallan threshold. And we land right on top of a ghost planet. Great. So this is the migrant fleet. Nothing to do there at the moment. But there are 2 systems out here. 300. I don't think that's enough. Let's refuel. Interesting. This one is implemented as a planet. That makes sense to implement it that way, actually. Indeed, 300 would not have been enough. Not even close. The Mika star system. A small hydrogen-helium gas giant formed around a metallic hydrogen core, Eloi will be the site of a rare astronomical event later this year. The comet Asaro will come on its orbit of 70 galactic standard years and travel so close to the giant that it is predicted to be captured as a moon. Dozens of space probes from around the galaxy have been launched into the Rahil system to record this moment. Eloi is within the frost line of its parent star, where gas giants do not usually form. For this reason, it is believed to be an extrasolar capture. Travel advisory. A statistically significant number of distress signals have come from the 1 million kilometer mark around Eloi. Pirates are believed to be working in the area. In-person tourism is not advised. What pirates are those, I wonder? Home to 51 moons, including the prebiotic moon Anafi, Duma is a standard hydrogen-helium gas giant with violent surface winds exceeding 1,900 kilometers per hour. Like its sister planet Eloi, it is believed to be an extrasolar capture. Makes sense, this is even further away from the line. And we don't get to see the moon itself. Anything in... oh, yes, there is something in the asteroid belt. The second asteroid in the system formed around an element 0 core, Kakabel is another carbonaceous asteroid, with a surface made of hydrated minerals such as carbonates and clays. Beneath its icy surface is liquid water, with some amino acids. The surface of Kakabel is pitted and scarred with strip mining stations, where the Quarians took as much Ezo as possible before moving on. That raises a bigger question of what pirates are there, given that this is the system where the Quarians have been recently. Maybe they are talking about long-term prospects of there being pirates. But this is also a rare case where there is element 0 in an asteroid. And it has been implied there's another one, and there it is. Farless. One of a trio of asteroids formed around an element 0 core, Farless is the easiest to mine for low-yield Ezo. A carbonaceous asteroid, Farless has a trace of water-bearing minerals and organic carbon in the form of kerogen. Currently, the asteroid is surrounded by Quarian mining ships extracting fuel for the flotilla. So they moved on from the other asteroid and not yet from this one? And there's a third one also. Is it this one? Largest of the Ezo trio, Israfil is a silicate-heavy carbonaceous asteroid. It is home to approximately 40 species of microorganisms in its liquid water, and was blamed as the source of the prion-based biowarfare agent EHE, exotic humanoid encephalopathy, used by the terrorist group Totenkopf in their attack on Gagarin Station in 2184. Totenkopf. Deadhead. While many in the scientific community protested that Israfil did not have sufficient atmosphere or evolutionary history to sustain life at the prion level, the asteroid and its Ezo miners were nevertheless quarantined to reassure the public that the Systems Alliance was taking action. Though no evidence has yet been found that EHE originated from Israfil, or was even synthesized in a local lab, the SSV Manila and a team of epidemiologists maintain watch over the asteroid's ship traffic for now. Population 1006. Interesting how all of these seem to have liquid water. But what does the Systems Alliance have to do here? I guess nothing aside from this whole history of potentially there have been some weapon being developed here. Quite cold. Orbital period of 9 years, so it's all spinning around as well, okay. Radius, very small, obviously, since it's an asteroid. Trace atmosphere, again, obviously. And low gravity, again, obviously. And yes, that was the last of planets and planetoids in the system. Let's check out Paz. There is a single planet. Great. Garvik. In 354 CE, Garvik was considered a bargain world, given to the Krogan to placate them because no one else wanted to live on such a frozen rock. Technically a life-bearing world, Garvik had a small farm belt around its equator and well-insulated marine life in its seas. By the turn of the century, the Krogan had completely adapted, breeding hundreds of younglings for family in vast underground bunkers. By the turn of the next century, Garvik's narrow strips of coral reef had been destroyed by overfishing and pollutants, and XX Krogan took to the stars to find another planet to consume. Garvik was treated as an object lesson by the Citadel Council. The Krogan could not be trusted to check their own numbers. Today, Garvik is a frozen wasteland, home to corporate eco-engineering efforts trying to implement sustainable agri- and aquaculture practices. Krogan and warship packs are a constant threat, and the corporations pay mercenaries well to keep their operations safe. Interesting. I think we'll hear more about Garvik in the future. And yeah, quite far away. Long orbital period. A bit small. Good gravity. Fairly cold. And good pressure. Right. So it's all for the Wilhelm threshold. Indeed. Let's go to the Shrike Abyssal. We land on a ghost planet right off the bat. Let's go to Urla Rust. And not much to see here, seemingly, although this is a very expansive star system. Bovistor. This sounds quite Latin. But apparently it's Vollis. Huh, interesting. Named the Shining Sea in an old Vollis language, Bovistor is so named for its boiling surface rich in glowing hot alumina, flecked with dark ridges of carbon. Its thick atmosphere of nitrogen and oxygen is no indicator of life, since the temperatures are simply too high. Yeah, you probably don't want to live on a planet that has glowing hot alumina. Just saying. Right. High pressure. Quite high gravity also. and very warm. So, Vollis are here. Okay, good to know. Talisphia is a planet capable of supporting life, if that life happens to breathe ammonia. Discovered by Asaro explorers, the planet was used as a bargaining chip by the Citadel Council, who quickly drafted a colonization agreement with its wealthy client race, the Vollis. The Council would fund the Vollis colonization effort in return for massive trade benefits. With a characteristic enthusiasm, an enormous Vollis influx ensued, and the Council reaped the economic benefits for a dozen years before the colonization bubble burst. Today, the economic good times on Talisphia are long gone, and modern Vollis businesses are cutthroat operations. Piracy is a grave threat to shipping, as well-armed criminals see the Vollis as easy prey. Colony founded 385 CE, population 3.8 billion, capital Usradal. Orbital distance, far away, period quite long, radius is good, day length is slightly long. High pressure, but I guess for Vollis, it's fine. Quite cold, also. Not sure about ammonia. And surface gravity quite high, also. And lastly, we have an ice giant, Dozatab, Sky Warden, has a bluish tinge from its hydrogen-methane atmosphere. Its axial tilt causes its seasons to vary wildly in temperature. Okay then. We're done with this, and all we have to explore is the mass relay system.
Fuel reserves at 50%.
But we will explore that next time. Not much happened this time around, but perhaps that means that more will happen the next time. See you all then. Later.